Being in special education, that is your if you look at most IEPs, some have educational goals, right? But most of them also have um, behavior modification goals.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have 25 years of experience working with IEPs and students with IEPs. And so behavior modification is something I've been doing for all of that time that I've been working with these students. Coming from that field and coming from that way has helped me to learn how to modify behaviors, modify my own behaviors and the people around me especially when it comes to things dealing with education.
It's funny because we were having this conversation in our MDC group earlier this morning about, and it's funny, what led to the conversation was some of us talking about the mistakes that we make trading. And shout out to our brother Jay, man. Jay made a point how, and it's funny, I never really thought about it this way. He said some of the mistakes he makes trading go back to his childhood.
Yep.
I was like, damn, that's profound. He was like, he started breaking down why. And I think sometimes we don't think about, I know a lot of us don't, which is, why mental health is so important and why having someone to talk to is important. We don't recognize how some of our things that have
your current traumas come from something that happened to you.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, have you ever done that before and be like, damn, like when you have a realization, like I'm doing this because
all the time.
Yeah, like it happens to me as an adult now. I'm like,
damn, I know exactly why I did
that. I know exactly why I did that, right? Yeah. So that's why this conversation to me was important to have, because those environments that you put your kids in at a young age can have a huge impact, to the point where people are willing to and this happens in other cultures, even our culture, because I'm gonna be honest with you, like even like some of the schools I went to, like people made sacrifices to afford to put me, and not just me, my brother as well, in certain schools, because it was about the long game, right? And I'm thankful and grateful for that. But just understanding that people sometimes make current sacrifices for the future. And that's why I don't believe in the whole idea of self-made and none of that, because if not for those sacrifices, I wouldn't be.
It's fugazi. It's BS.
Listen, man, I have an amazing life, man. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that to say that people have poured into me to allow me to have said amazing life.
You know what the number is for poor people born under the poverty line, dying under the poverty line? What's the number?
I would say it's in the 90 percentile range. It got to be
97%.
Yeah, it's got to be. It's got to be.
So, and you know why? It's environment.
Yeah.
Because they don't have the resources they're around poor people their whole life. They're around, and the thing about it is, they haven't had the constant exposure, right? They might get minimal exposure. They haven't had the constant exposure to people at a higher scale, at a higher level, right? Because that constant exposure would lead to them being friends with people who would be able to take them from being born in one. So like that's why the book Cast is so crazy to me, right?
Yeah.
Me knowing that stat, right? The book Cast, 97% of the people who born poor die poor, right? In America. And so it's a caste system. It's literally a caste system.
We don't recognize it.
They sell you on the dream that most people have mobility upward, and that your mobility upward is completely controlled by you. That is bull. That's malarkey.
The data shows otherwise. Let's put it that way. The data shows otherwise.
The data shows otherwise.